This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Palette, the someone else Drake was talking about in Hotline Bling. Today, we are drinking caffeine. Let's get right into this story. Have you ever noticed that when you lay on your stomach, with your head facing the ceiling, the visions that dance around your head all night become more vivid? You might wake up in the middle of the night with an uneasy feeling from the hallucinations you were just experiencing. You stuff your face into the pillow, only to find your subconscious movements turn you right back around to the same position as before. On one of these nights in particular, you recall waking up without the slightest idea where you were. Usually when you slumber in this position, you enter a world of splendor and mirth. When you rise in the morning, you choose to fall right back to sleep, extending the trance you have discovered simply by shifting position. This was not one of those nights. Although you fell asleep face up, you awaken with less orientation than dream-induced euphoria. It was a little frightening, but quickly your thoughts and memories rush back to you soon enough you return to rest. So this is a good old-fashioned second-person story with, you're doing this and this has happened to you in this order. Now, I think that this definitely has a place in creepypasta or realist horror or whatever the fuck, but I'm beginning to wonder really early if this is the best way to tell this story in particular as a creepypasta. Now again, we always take these things, this is on the Creepypasta Wikia, we take these things as creepypasta from the get-go, and if it becomes clear that that's not what it's trying to attempt to do, we'll adjust our expectations. But as for now, under that schema that this is creepypasta, I know what I'm doing. I know what's happened to me, and so for them to do that breaks realism. There are ways where you can do this successfully, where you can tell someone, instruct them what to do, and say, here's where you're going to go, and these are the things you're going to hold with the Holder series, and when they all come together, things going to get crazy. But here we're being told that this has already happened. We're about to be told what happened yesterday, according to this next paragraph. So bear all of these things in mind. I know we're nitpicky right off the bat, but let's continue on. That was yesterday, though. Nothing in this world is certain for very long. Who's to say that tomorrow you don't wake up with even more confusion, slowly losing yourself every day, waking up less aware of who you are? Suddenly, it all makes sense, and you feel a dash of pride for exposing the truth. The problem is not sleeping a certain way, waking up with this newfound senselessness, or even that you're going to sleep right after waking. The issue is the sleep itself. You've always been a problem solver. Well, thank you, and I'd like to think that. And the solution here is self-evident. After all, you've exercised insomnia before? You've exercised insomnia before. I've never heard that phrasing. I didn't know your insomnia is something that you can exercise. For days on end, eventually losing track of it, had been 3 days or a week that you have had not been dormant. Wow, that was phrased really weird. The trick you've learned is to eat more food. It's not as maniacal as it sounds. Eating food sounds maniacal? What? Okay. Just when you feel your eyelids pulling themselves down, or you start colliding with the bump strips on the side of the road, all you need is calories. Wow. Hopefully you don't need calories before you start bumping into the guardrails. Do people call these bump stripes? I've never heard the phrase bump stripes on the road. That's a guardrail everywhere, right? Yep, just Googled it. Bump strips is not a term for guardrails. Okay. It's a kind of balance, sort of like how you eat enough oxygen-rich food you don't need to breathe. What the fuck is going on in this story? This person has no grounding of basic science. No, that's not how oxygen-rich. I can't tell if this story is fucking with me or not. But let's continue. Most people in non-third world countries have become lazy. Why are you saying non-third world countries? Why don't you just say first world or developed world? That's, whatever. Honest, their bodies have acclimatized? Okay. To the level of calories and sleep every day. In time, with enough practice, if you double the amount of food intake, you will notice how easy it becomes to stay up. Back to my earlier point, you figured out this is how you'll avoid the demons in your dreams. It was a logical decision at the time. So call me crazy, but I think if you're going to eat a bunch of food to stay awake, you're probably going to have worse dreams than if you just have a normal diet. I've heard a lot of people say the diet does affect the kind of dreams you have. So maybe this is the case, but probably not in the way that our author is positing. Okay. What you didn't account for was the actions of other people. See, it was on the exact day your roommate held a conference in which they did not invite you. Had you been present, obviously you would have had the right to speak, and your opinion would have been heard, possibly even considered. But I'm getting off track. In this delegation, without your approval or privy, they had decided a sort of ranking system for the household, in which you occupied the bottom rung? Whenever conceivable, your accommodation was not to be accounted for. What the fuck is the story even going on about? This story is fucking bizarre. It makes no goddamn sense. At this point, we can say that this is safely not creepypasta. I think this is someone attempting to make a horror story that they think is within the grab bag menagerie that is creepypasta. This is not creepypasta, but let's continue on and judge the story for what it is attempting to do. Again, not entirely sure what it is attempting to do, but let's go on. The days and weeks that ensured you... Oh, Jesus Christ, Brandon, you can read. The days and weeks that ensued were nothing short of total madness. It started with little things, like moving your toothbrush since there was one bathroom in the house. Before long, your every movement discerned whether you would be stepping in shit or bathed in it. Do they mean that literally? What the fuck is this story doing? It's nothing like battling those hallucinations of your respite period. Okay? On that front, you've done extremely well. It has now been 4 days and only 32,000 calories down. You don't feel tired at all. It's almost uplifting and energetic, and even without the use of caffeine pills until very soon in the future. What? Oh my God. When you get back from the bank a few days later, your roomie had literally booby-trapped your door. As you pull the handle to your chambers. Your chambers? What the fuck are you even writing? No, who the fuck calls their room chambers? A bucket of oozing fluid piled all over every square inch of your body. That's where the caffeine pills come in. Because, of course, the scale must be tipped in another direction. It's only the parameters of our destiny to fulfill justice no matter what. You know that the only way to do that was to enhance your concentration. Caffeine is just the tool for the job. On the way to the bathroom, you remembered to peddle as little gratification to your bedmates as possible, and to wash up and proceed to the store. To peddle as little gratification? Does this person know what the word peddle means? Or gratification? Or little? I don't... This is fucking weird. Okay. Reading the box on the way home, it reads, "Do not take more than directed. Consult your physician if experiencing any of these symptoms, blah, 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 and so on and so forth." Here we go. Do not take more than 8 pills in 24 hours. The case holds 24 pills. So you throw a few in the hatch. In the hatch? It's supposed to be down the hatch, right? That's the adage, or phrasing. just upon arriving at the door, knowing full well these suckers start up instantly. It's odd, though. The bouncy feeling you've had lately is still around. Being completely objective with yourself as you're walking by your roommate, pretending not to notice his barely subtle, arrogant stance. I'm confused, because sometimes it seems like there's multiple roommates, and sometimes it seems like there's one. But I'm confused on a lot of things, particularly in this story. And still remaining entirely objective, you observe something is amiss with the pills. There's no jolt or punch, just the same wakefulness you've been accustomed to. Startlingly, you begin to feel a heaviness in your chest, now remembering the cause. A feeling of dread covers over you. You had not eaten at the store. First thing is first. A couple more pills for the alertness required to advance through the kitchen safely and prepare for the necessary action of about to be taken in total vengeance against the man occupying the other room. You down the pills, eat a burrito, some chips, a pizza, and grab a drink. So I googled it real quick to be sure, but the longest that a person has ever stayed up is like 11 fucking days, so I guess that's within the realm of possibility. Although this is still fucking bizarre and stupid and unrealistic and nonsensical and makes very little sense. But let's continue on. Also, the person reading this, who again, I would like to remind you, we are the person in the story. We gotta be pretty fucking fat by now. We are just like shoveling down bullshit. But let's continue and wrap up this fucking bizarre story. That was all it took. The resulting level of focus felt just about right. Pacing the arena in front of the entryway to the enemy room for a minute, you examine the shadow of a prick, swinging the door open wildly to catch your opponent off guard. Just then you realize you didn't make a plan for revenge. Fuming in the hallway briefly was enough to incite a blaze. You swarm your attacker within 800 milliseconds. What? Oh my god. Okay, where did this knife come from? The next thing you know, you've arisen victorious above the foe. Sheds of torn skin and random glands or membranes or tissue and whatever lay strewn around the room. That was probably premature, was the last thing that ran through your mind. Written by SoPretentious. Wow. What do you say about the story in summation? I think I know what I'm going to say in summation of this story. Okay. You ever get like really, really horny, like you really need to be laid, and so your like fantasies become like really fucking bizarre, and then like you get laid, you like get rid of all that horniness, and then you're just like, wow, that was a bizarre fucking fantasy I had. This person who wrote the story had a really bad roommate, and like probably is in college and like was doing a bunch of all-nighters and shit, and so their mind just got really deranged and they wrote this story to vent. I hope that after getting some sleep and moving out from their bad roommate, that they came to their senses and realized that this is a fucking deranged, nonsensical story. It is a fucking weird-ass fever dream. Maybe that's what it was attempting to accomplish. Maybe there's some genius here that I'm not seeing, and it's just really highly conceptual, and I'm not getting it. Or maybe I'm getting it now, and this is the whole idea. But there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And today's sponsor is Punchlines. Punchlines. They're not just for comedy.